Hi guys! So my name is Jacqueline and today I'm going to tell you guys about the 16 films that I am most excited to see at the upcoming Toronto International Film Festival that is kicking off on September 8th through the 19th. For those of you that don't know, Black Girl Nerds is going to be attending the Toronto International Film Festival, or TIFF, for the first time this year, which we are so stoked about, and it's unbelievably great. There are a ton of films that premiere at TIFF, and it's sort of like the preliminary festival before you get into Oscar season, so these are the films that people are definitely going to be buzzing about for award season. And this year, there are a ton of films from women of color to Black filmmakers. It's just a really great year for Black film, and a lot of that is premiering at TIFF. If you're interested in this and you're really passionate about films, I highly advise you guys to follow our coverage during the Toronto Film Festival. So now I'm gonna give you guys my top 16 films that I'm most excited for at TIFF. To start off, this one's kind of a controversial one, but I'll go ahead and say I'm still very excited to see it, and that's Birth of a Nation. This is the Nate Parker slave revolt movie. This is tells the story of Nat Turner, who started the slave revolt in the 1800s. It was sold at Sundance for $17 million, and it had Oscar buzz right off the get. More recently, unfortunately, the filmmakers involved in it have been put into controversy from a previous sexual assault they committed when he was in college at Penn State. I'm not gonna get into the details of it, but I highly advise you guys to check out our blog post that we posted about it, and if you want to hear another differing opinion about the whole way it's being covered in the media, I highly advise you to check out Wilson Morales' article that he put out in the Hollywood Reporter. But moving on. The next film I'm excited to see is Loving by Jeff Nichols, and this tells the story of an interracial couple in Virginia back in the 1960s. The couple is played by Joel Edgerton and Ruth Negga, and it's directed by Jeff Nichols. It premiered at Cannes and it also had a lot of buzz around it, and I'm really excited to see this story told. The next film that I'm really excited to see is The Magnificent Seven, and this is the Antoine Fuqua, Denzel Washington film, which is a reimagining of a remake of an original property. So there was The Seven Samurai, and then it was remade into The Magnificent Seven, and so now we have a modern day reimagining. I know remakes can be kind of hit or miss, but I'm really excited to see the film. It has a great cast: Chris Pratt, Denzel Washington, Vincent D'Onofrio, Ethan Hawke, Matt Bomer. This is an A-list movie, and they're also going to be premiering TIFF with this film. This is the first film to sort of kick off the festival. The next film is The Queen of Katwe, which is the story of a Ugandan chess master, and the film stars Lupita Nyong'o. The film is also directed by Meera Nar, who is an Indian female film director who also directed films like Vanity Fair. The next film I'm excited to see is American Honey. American Honey is this great film that tells the story of three young misfit kids that are selling magazines door to door. It's this real gritty story of sort of the tragedy of American youth. It stars Shia LaBeouf, Riley Clough, and newcomer Sasha Lane in the starring role. The next film I'm excited to see is Trespass Against Us. And Trespass Against Us stars Michael Fassbender. And that's really all I needed. Okay, no kidding though, for real. I'm excited to see the film. Michael Fassbender has not led me wrong in pretty much any of the properties that he's been in. It's a British crime drama. It also stars Brendan Gleeson, and he played Mad Eye Moody. He also happens to be the father of one of my faves, which is Domhnall Gleeson, who played Bill. The next one is Buster's Malheart, and Buster's Malheart is the first starring role for Robbie Malek, and I'm really interested to see it because I want to see what he's going to be able to kind of do outside of Elliot from Mr. Robot. I love him on that, but I'm interested to see what things he can bring to a different story. I will say this movie centers around a man who has a recurring dream about being two people, and he's breaking into houses in the mountains while people are on vacation. So it's very weird. So maybe he's not getting like outside of the weird category too much, but again, I'm really interested to see him play another character and see if he can do it well. The next movie I'm excited to see at TIFF is La La Land, and this is a big one. This is one that everybody is really jazzed about. This is the musical adaptation with Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, and John Legend. And it's directed by Damien Chazelle. He directed Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons in Whiplash, which earned J.K. Simmons the Academy Award. So people are very interested to see it. The next film I am excited to see is Moonlight. Moonlight is a movie that stars Mahershala Ali, He played Remy from House of Cards, and he was also in The Hunger Games. Well, he stars in his feature-length film that is a story of a man told in 3 parts. So it's very episodic. Like if you saw Steve Jobs, how that was 3 points in someone's lifetime, but it didn't really tell a full story. It was just sections of it. This is the way this film is set up, and it's also getting a lot of buzz. The performances in it are supposed to be great. It also stars Naomi Harris, who plays Moneypenny from the James Bond movies. So the next movie I'm excited to see is just weird. There's no other way of putting it than that. It's just weird, and that's The Bad Batch. The Bad Batch stars Jason Momoa, Keanu Reeves, and Jim Carrey. So it's a dystopian romance which tells the story of 2 people falling in love in Texas, despite the fact that, you know, it's post-apocalyptic and they live in a cannibal camp, meaning that everyone in the community is cannibals and they're eating people. Sounds so just like batcrap crazy, and I'm just so excited to see it. It's going to be great. The next film I'm really excited to see is I'm Not Your Negro, which is the first documentary about James Baldwin. James Baldwin, if you don't know, was a poet, novelist, activist, civil rights leader. He was such a huge voice in the 1960s, and he is yet to be sort of portrayed on the big screen with really anything, be it film or documentary. He's just such an interesting person, and I know that his story is going to be so much fun to watch. The next film I'm excited to see is Message from the King, and that is the next Chadwick Boseman vehicle. This kind of follows the Michael Fassbender rule for me. I just want to see Chadwick Boseman. He can do anything he wants, and I'll probably go see it. But this is kind of a different film. It's a revenge plot. It has apparently a very, you know, John Wick, man against the world feel to it. So I'm really excited to see him in more of like a straight action, traditional action movie. Next film I'm excited to see is another big one, and that's Arrival. This is the new Denis Villeneuve film, which if you don't know him, he directed Sicario, Enemy, Prisoners. Well, this is his new film starring Amy Adams, who plays a linguist whose job it is to translate to aliens who have just invaded Earth. The trailer for this is also just so cool. I cannot wait to see this film. It also stars Forest Whitaker and Jeremy Renner. So the final film that I'm completely excited to see during the Toronto International Film Festival is The Girl with All the Gifts. And I will just say this, I'm not going to give you a synopsis. I'm just going to tell you, please go watch the trailer to this film immediately. This was the best trailer of all the trailers that I saw for all the films at TIFF. All I will say is just go watch the trailer. It's awesome, and it's a zombie post-apocalyptic movie. I will give you that little tidbit, and then just watch the trailer and you will see. So that's all the films that I'm excited to see during TIFF this year. But there are a couple other things that are going on that I want to let you guys know about that we'll also be covering that I'm also really excited for. This year, TIFF is going to be covering virtual reality film presentations and how filmmakers are pairing virtual reality with filmmaking to sort of bring stories to their audience in a different way. So I'm really excited for that. They're going to be presenting a bunch of films using VR. The next thing that I'm excited to see is for the second time, TIFF is going to include television in their programming. The television show that I'm excited to see is Black Mirror. If you've not watched Black Mirror, it's an episodic anthology, kind of similar to American Horror Story, but instead of being about like horror, imagine it's like just really dramatic crime stuff. And the final thing I'm really excited to see is Hidden Figures. This is not going to be the full film, but the trailer dropped and Pharrell and the cast are going to be at TIFF answering questions, sharing music and clips from the movie. And so I just, as a Black girl nerd, you just have to be excited for that movie. It's like OG Black girl. For those of you that haven't seen the trailer, Hidden Figures tells the story of the NASA engineers who helped launch the space program, and the mathematicians and the engineers who are women of color who helped that whole process. That's all I have, guys. I hope you'll follow along with us during the Toronto International Film Festival. If you want to keep up with our updates on Twitter, just follow the hashtag BGNTIFF, BGNTIFF, or you can follow me. I'm at Miss Blurtis. So please follow along. We're going to be bringing you guys junkets, interviews, one-on-ones, red carpets. I'm so excited for the coverage that we're going to be able to present at TIFF. So get excited because it's going to be great. We've already lined up some amazing interviews. And that's it, guys. I'm Jacqueline, and I'll see y'all next time.